Hi guys, trust you're all doing well today. Welcome to my YouTube channel, CPM Stack with Toluwole. Let's get right into it. In today's module, we'll be discussing building an API platform developers love. You will get to understand this in pretty much later. What we mean, what we're trying to say, what we're trying to achieve. In this module, you will learn how to build world-class developer platform that can improve onboarding and what are the ways you can basically improve your onboarding experience, how to ensure that people or developers can measure their API consumption, the latency of their APIs, and they can also fund their wallet around for your API consumptions as well. We are talking about monetization, and where monetization is where you are designed or defined how you want to monetize your API. Developers need to also fund it with respect to that, so they can basically get access to your APIs or keep using your APIs. So imagine you've built an amazing API that's very scalable, highly secured, production ready. I mean, people can use it in the production environment. It responds to customers or to calls in less than 50 milliseconds. The throughput is able to handle significant amount of traffic and is also able to scale up and down. But developer cannot figure out how to use it. I mean, they don't have access to any dashboard. We had discussed about the importance of API key. They don't have access to API keys. They cannot figure out how and where to get API keys from. No single documentation flow to explain how the APIs is being built, how they can interact with it, how they can consume those APIs. No single form of analytics to indicate to them as to, oh, this is the amount of calls you've made today. Out of every calls you've made, 10,000 calls you've made, you only have 10 of them failed. No form of single item of analytics to give them an idea of how their platform is doing or the amount of money they've even consumed using your platform and everything that they need to do to even perform or to even make API calls. They don't have access to it. That single limitation nullifies every hard work your developers, or engineering teams have built into building a scalable platform. So it's important that we discuss how to build a developer platform beyond just the APIs. We've cleared out how to build all of these APIs, how to position your APIs, how to monetize your APIs. Now we are going into how do customers or engineers even get to find out about my API and how can they even interact with it. So let's start by defining what developer portal is. According to my definition here, developer portal is the front door to your APIs, where developers can sign up, generate API key, test endpoint, monitor usage, manage billings, integrate webhook, collaborate with teams. What am I trying to say in essence? Think about your API as the engine and the developer portal as the body. Imagine you building a car that is basically using V18 types of engine. The engine is just built out there. It can perform phenomenally. It can perform under stress. But there's no body. The body now being the body of the car you can use in testing this thing. So think about developer portal as the body of the API in itself. Without the body, the API becomes unaccessible. Without the body, you cannot even test the functionality. Without the body, the API cannot start generating revenue for the business. So as a product manager, technical product manager, engineering lead, the mindset I want you to have while we listen or walk through this course together is great API wins because of great developer experience. I want to believe as a developer you must have, in your journey as a product manager, TPM or engineering lead, you must have come across fantastic dashboard developer portals from the likes of Paystack, Stripe, PayPal's today. You're able to hear about those products today because they have a great developer experience. I can tell for a fact that there might be some businesses or companies that have better APIs than these guys, but their developer experience is shitty. So have this in mind. It's very important for you as a PM, as a TPM, or as an engineering lead. Your developer experience is as good as your API. If you have spent so much time building an amazing APIs, I think you should also invest that significant amount of time, if not more, into ensuring your developers or your users have great experience consuming your API, using your APIs. In this section, we'll be discussing the core features of a developer platform. I want you to think about this way, right? Have this mindset shift. In every development cycle, as a product manager or as a technical product manager, certain things are considered nice to have, and certain things are considered fundamental. So in this section, we'll be focusing majorly on the fundamental features a developer platform have. I mean, these are the features that are most likely the most important that you see most likely repeated across all developer platforms that you visit today. Hence, we are looking at each feature from two lenses. There's a lens from why do we need it? And the other one we'll be looking at it is if we don't have this, what will most likely happen? So this way it's able to help you better appreciate each feature and how we are thinking about it or how you should think about it. So in addition to that, I also built a website called Zawan Pay. Right, it's a payment gateway to help you collect money, initiate transfer, initiate bulk transfer, transactions, card debit, right? To help you visualize what we're really talking about. In this way, you're able to better appreciate the concept you're trying to teach and also make some of these features that we are talking about relatable to you, and you can adopt and apply some of these learnings to your own developer platform as a TPM, considering you're trying to build an API as a service kind of solution. In every development cycle, for you, be it a product manager, technical product manager, engineering lead, I think one thing is clear when you're trying to build your roadmap. There are certain features called fundamentals, and there are other features called nice to have. One of the things we're doing in this course is basically to really focus on what are the fundamental features every developer platform should have. And these are the features you will see no matter the developer platform, regardless of the product, the brand, you always see this core feature across this developer experience. Right, so these are the ones we will be focusing on. So when you go into certain applications or certain platform, you will see additional use cases, but there are certain ones that are core. So we are literally just focusing on the core one for this course. So we'll start by looking at onboarding. We'll be looking at the onboarding from two lenses. The first one is why do we even need it? And the second lens is what will most likely happen if we don't have this feature in place. Right, so it helps you better appreciate the features, what they are used for, what their use cases, and their importance. And you're also able to make decisions around whether I need this now or I can probably put this in the backlog as a PM, as a TPM, or as an engineering lead. So we'll be applying such principle to onboarding. In today's model of API platform or developer platform, you will see there are different ways of onboarding, and different businesses have different rationales as to why they choose to build their onboarding flow the way they built it, right? But in our own case, we'll be looking at it from how should an ideal developer onboarding platform should be. The first thing is it should be self-onboarding. Without self-onboarding, what you will see happen is you will have a lot of customer requirements and involvement even in the pipeline. It literally becomes a bottleneck. So what's the advantage of you having a platform, a developer platform to be self-onboarding? It reduces manual onboarding workload, enables sign up 24 hours regardless of the region you operate. Imagine you are in Canada today and you want to use an API platform in Nigeria. These are about 7 to 9 hours times different. It means when you are probably opening the application in the morning, somebody in Nigeria is looking at your request manually to decide whenever maybe they want to accept it or not. And if there's a need for them to even reach out to you, imagine the lengthy amount of back and forth in terms of communication. Why not take all of these requirements, all of these expectations, put it on the platform so the customer or the user is able to provide them in real time. They have an idea of what it means or what it takes to onboard on your platform, and in their own time they're able to basically go find those information if they don't have it readily available, so they can easily onboard on your platform, as opposed to having conversations via email back and forth before you can even onboard on your platform. That is definitely not a good experience. So we'll be looking at onboarding from this session, and we'll be looking at the onboarding from two perspectives. The first one is individual onboarding and also business onboarding. What I've also done to also help you appreciate the content of this course better is I looked at what the regulatory requirement is for a single individual or developer to onboard on a platform like this. I also looked at it from the business perspective. What is regulation saying about this? for you to onboard on a platform like this in Nigeria. So we'll be going through individual onboarding flow. So what you have here is a near real life scenario where whatever you have here is closely aligned to what is expected out there. So let's start by looking at onboarding from the perspective of an individual. We have Xamon Pay here, start accepting payments in minutes. What we've also done is, as a PM or as a product manager, one of the things you want to provide your customers or your users, give them a high level overview of what it entails to complete that process. So what we have here is we have the registration, email verification, KYC, accepting terms and conditions, and they are literally done. So the first step is, you can see it's highlighted. We have registration, where the customer is expected to put in their first name, their last name, email address, phone number, and create a password. On the second step is we send an OTP to such password, and they're able to input those OTPs in this screen. You can also resend an OTP. You can check your spam. We also communicated to say for one reason or the other, you didn't get the inbox, right? You didn't get the email in your inbox. We have also recommended that you check your spam, so you're able to also, this also helps reduce the back and forth, so the customer knows where to go and where to check. Once you complete your email verification, you're taken to the place where you're able to do your identity verification. In doing your identity verification, you can either upload your national ID, international passport, driver's license, voter's card. You can upload that here. You also provide your BVN. We do a real-time lookup. So BVN also implemented something called is it called I agree now, or I agree? Yeah, I think I agree. So what that means is, for users, right, as a business or as a product, which is Xamon Pay, for me to affirm that the person onboarding on my platform has given their consent to their OTP, and OTP, are expected to implement an OTP flow there. So once the customer input their BVN, what you should see next is, we made it sequential, so you're not able to see it here. When you put in your BVN, you get an OTP number to validate that I'm consenting to my BVN being used to onboard on this platform. Then the next one is, you basically click the terms of use, the agreement and condition. Then you have your account completely set up. If you click on go, it should take you to the dashboard. If you also look at what we have here, we've also itemized the steps for you need to complete for you to onboard on the platform. If you also have here, we have the CBN license, showing you that whatever process you're onboarding here is in line with the regulations of CBN. So let's start the onboarding process for a business account. You start by inputting your business name, your business type, right? You're able to input your business time. You also input the industry you operate in, whether you fintech, the SaaS, education platform, email address, phone number. You create your password. Upon doing that, you also do the similar scenario with the individual onboarding. You verify your email address by inputting an OTP. We also recommended that if you are not able to see this email in your inbox, you should kindly check your spam. You're required to provide your CAC number for verification. This CAC number is verification is checked real time. So there are two ways of implementing it. You can decide to verify this information real time by checking them real time, and you also match that with certificate of incorporation, or that can also be a manual process where you take the CAC number and also the certificate of incorporation, and probably the compliance team on the business side of things can decide to go do their home verification to verify whether the name you've provided also matches the certification you've provided as well, and even if the name on the CAC matches the business name on the account in which you're using to sign up. Once that is done, one other thing that we've also seen CBN introduce is that beyond just the entity in itself, right? The business is an entity, but there's an individual behind that entity. So it's important for us to be able to narrow down a business entity beyond just the business entity itself. We want to know the personnel or the business owners behind the entity. And this is also in case where we've seen businesses, individuals or companies sign up on your platform and they commit fraudulent activities on your platform. We've seen scenarios where you are not able to trace this guy, but with this new direction and implementation from CBN, you're able to trace the individuals behind the entity itself, and the entity in question here is the business in itself. So you will be required to provide your name, your email address, your role, your BVN information, your residential address, and required to upload your director's IDs. And you agree to the terms of conditions and you submit. We are done. So this is basically subject to review, right? And this is also in line with the standard practice we have across across different business, across different developer platforms today. Secondly, let's look at usage analytics. What will most likely happen without you having a usage analytics on your platform as a TPM building a developer platform? This simply it decreases trust. This analytics is what developers use in determining how transparent your platform is, the numbers of APIs requests they've made, the numbers of success rate, the failure rate, and the refund rate of those APIs. So if you don't have an analytical platform, you get a lot of requests. Developers asking questions around, oh, what the numbers of API they consumed today, what have they consumed in a week, and these are manual process. It will increase the workload on your customer team, or your operational team, on your payment operation team today. So it's important for you to just have usage analytics on your platform as a TPM building developer platform. Let me show you a typical example of what we have and what we've designed on Zaron Pay. Look at what we have today on the overview page. On the overview page, I'm able to see my total request, and I'm also able to see the percentage growth rate of my request for this month, the success rate of all the APIs I've made so far, average latency. This literally means the average time it takes the API to respond. My uptime time. This is also reliance time. It shows 99.9. This is significantly good. It means that at least in every 30 days you always have minimum of 3 incidents, which is very, very significantly small from where we stand today. You're also able to see an overview of all of these requests per APIs or per call that you're currently consuming. You have this basically speaks to transaction. This basically speaks to initializing of transaction, verifying transaction, wallet balance, webhook transfer, and also payout request. So you're able to also this is not a cast stone, right? You can basically walk around it, but this gives you a guide, and it also improves or increases the confidence of developers on your platform to say, oh, this is how my platform is even performing today. Oh, I'm able to see how good this platform is, and this also helps the developer it helps them estimate the potential cost of running their services on your platform. So it's very, very important. Thirdly, we'll be looking at API keys. Without API keys, when API keys get linked, right, it can probably the API keys mistakenly got into a fraudulent person hand. With your API key, they can literally access your account. Your API key in the world of API as a service is like the password. Imagine having a bank, your mobile application on your phone, your email address, and your password. Imagine somebody knowing all of this information about it. They can literally go into your app, carry out malicious transaction without your knowledge, impersonate you in making requests that you've not. They can even decide to take up a loan on your behalf. Right? These are informations, or these are things you're not consenting to. Because they have all of this information, they're able to make such requests. So why is it important for you as a TPM to build API key management into your developer portal experience? With the API key, you're able to rotate your API key. You can specify around the scope of the API key. You can delete an API key. You can revoke an API key. Right? So let's look at what I was able to design for API key feature on the dashboard. This is the API key section. You can see the total numbers of requests. This is also similar across board. The error rates, right? Active API key able to show you different types of API keys. And one of the things I think I would like to always tell people is that let your API key have expiration date. Your API key could have been compromised without your knowledge. But once there's an expiration date, you are able to literally reuse those API key, and also separate your API key for test environment from the staging environment, from staging environment to from live environment. This is very key for you. and you're also able to delete or rotate this API key. So this is a typical example. On the mobile app, we have this API key for the SDK. On the public mobile app, we have this API key. For the secret one, this is the live environment. This is pointing to the live environment where we also have this SDK and secret key. And for the for the product environment as well, we also have the front end consuming this production API key. So what usually happens here is that what you will most likely see is that because developers are still in the build phase, it's important for you to provide them a test key so they're still able to like test and mock potential responses they'll be getting from your platform. So they're able to build along. They're able to effectively build without by reducing the amount of error, and not also they're also able to build in a way that is not costly. By the time, imagine you are trying to figure out something and you're using the live environment. Every API calls you make, you're making money, you're paying for it. So for you as a TPM, it's also very, very important for you to always have test environment for your developers so they can build, they can test before even going live with your solution. So a typical example is you want to create a new API key. You provide the name, the environment, the permission access, and you generate the API key. You can toggle between this is the test environment, this is the live environment, and this is the whole key. Next, we'll be looking at webbook management. Without webbook management, debugging fixes or implementation become almost impossible. You have your support tickets skyrocketing. Failure, so you won't even be able to know what when success has happened. So this is the way a typical transfer process literally works. You initiate a transfer from your bank A to bank B. Your service on your end, your service is very good. You're able to like initiate this transfer. But bank B you are sending the money to, their services is not available. Everything works well at your end. But on the bank you're sending money to needs to also confirm they've received it. The moment you initiate a transfer, a workbook is basically being issued to ensure that there's a quick and adequate feedback loop to ensure that the money I've initiated from here. Don't forget that the bank A does not have an idea of what is happening on bank B, but is listening to something. I think we also spoke about event architecture. This is when you initiate a transfer and an event is being triggered. That event is now called webbook, where is waiting for bank B to confirm that they've received, or is waiting for a success message. Once it gets that success message, it sends that information back to bank A. That's when you make a transfer on your end, you're able to see success because bank B has confirmed that, oh, I've seen your transaction and I'm accepting it, I'm acknowledging this transfer. It sent back that information to bank A, and bank A is able to show you a success on your end. I believe you must have also seen scenario where you make a transfer and for one reason or the other it shows the transaction failed. That's because bank B is not able to send them back a confirmation that they are waiting for. And this webbook also, the way webbook also works is you can introduce the amount of retry. You can also ensure that you can also terminate a session by time as well, to say if you've tried after 15 times and you're still not getting a success response, you can terminate the transaction. Or within the space of 10 minutes, if you're not getting a success, you can terminate a transaction. That's why sometimes you see transaction either pending, and after a while it shows you failed, and a reversal is being processed. Or in some scenarios you see it pending for a while, then after some time it shows you a success. That's the importance of you having a webbook or building a webbook implementation into your developer portal. So there's an example of what we have here. This is for payments. A payment is being initiated. You can see these numbers of attempt. It attempted it 124 times and 0 failed rates in 1 minute. You can basically create a new webbook. Say you have a new endpoint. You can also attach a new endpoint to a webbook. So whenever a transaction is being issued, you are able to like basically track that. So this is what we currently have. We have the payment webbook, which is for transfer. We also have this endpoint. This is basically pointing to staging. You can see what we have here. This is pointing to staging, and it's showing that out of 8 attempts, we've only 3 of this event has failed. Right, and you can basically retry it 3 times, and this was like 30 minutes ago. So you can basically create a new webbook and attach a webbook to a new endpoint. On this, if we click here, you're able to create a new webbook, and you're able to attach that webbook to say this is the URL. This webbook belongs to refund, wallet, transfer, wallet balance, field, payment success, like it depends on how you're building your application. But the idea of webbook is it helps you, gives you real-time information where you're able to also track the success, or is able to listen to an event between two different parties. And if it's a P2P, literally there's no need for webbook in between there. Because when I mean P2P now is um, a pay stack sending to another pay stack customer. That's a P2P kind of transfer. We'll be looking at wallet management. So without wallet management, for you to even access these APIs, we remember we discussed around API monetization, where you're able to charge for your API, you're able to bill for your API, to also probably you're putting your billing at per use. You're charging for your API per usage, or you could also probably be putting it on freemium for a particular time. But it really depends on the API builder or the company to determine how they want to monetize it. But regardless of how you want to monetize it, customer needs to pay, right? For you as a product manager or as a TPM trying to expose your API, it's important that you are able to implement or introduce a feature called wallet, where customers are able to fund their wallet, and they're able to ensure so that customers are able to fund their wallet, and they're able to keep using your service or even have access to your service in the first place. We had mentioned that when you use certain things on the staging environment, because it's staging, right? Businesses, what we've seen is businesses choose not to charge. But the moment you're going into the production environment, you can basically charge based on the monetization mechanism or models you've put in place. And customers can basically pay before use, or it can be prepaid, it can be postpaid, right? It depends, but customer needs to pay, and you need to make that process of making payment for your services as seamless as possible. What I've seen top companies do, or platforms like this do, is they introduce a wallet management system where you as an individual, you can top up your wallet. You can even initiate a payout. Imagine you're using my solution for collection. It means that when money comes in, you should be able to send that money out. So let me show you an example of what I have built. Under the wallet management system, you can top up. When you top up, you can decide to probably top up by making bank transfer. You could also introduce what's it called, card walleting system as well. You can pay out. Imagine you're using my platform or my APM for collections. When I mean collection, is customers are able to send money into this account, right? You can basically decide to withdraw that money and have that money settled into a destination account. And what we have here is total credit for the past 30 days, the amount that has been debited for the last 30 days. You're also able to see the transaction tables here. You're also able to export this. And also on transaction as well, you're also able to, this is quite similar to the wallet one. This is the transaction table, similar to transaction table, but you just have it in a more, we decided to separate it because the wallet feature uses metrics. Right, you can see all of the informations we have here. These are metrics, and when you're getting all of this information, it can be costly on the database side, right? And so that was why we literally, I just decided to like separate these two features and have the transaction table. You can just literally have filter by date, and you're able to export what you want. Next, we'll be looking at Sandbox 2, right? This is also similar to you having like a test environment where developer can test, right, what they are building. It's literally you creating a test environment for customers. When they make certain calls, they make certain API calls, they're able to get mock data, and those mock data, they can use it. It's very, very important that your platform has the mock data, and they're able to use this mock data to even building out, because once they have mock data, they have an idea of what the response structure looks like, and they can use that in building their platform. They also have an idea of what the payload looks like, and they can use that in determining what information should I be requesting for my customers to fill before they can perform this particular action. So this also helps improve developer experience as well. Let me show you what I've been able to build on my end here using the sandbox feature. Can you see what I've said here, right? This is basically a payment event trigger, right? And this is an ID, this is the amount, the currency. So it means that as a customer trying to make use this payment implementation, when customers make implementation or carry out transaction, I should be collecting this information from them, which is the amount, the currency, the status, the customer information. When a customer initiates a refund, these are the kind of information or the data you're expecting, which is the ID, the amount, the status, the transaction number, and the likes. We'll also be looking at team management. Without team management, one we've also seen is, if you remember on the onboarding, we've decided to like we made our onboarding simple. We divided into two sections: the individual onboarding and the business onboarding. Individuals can be a developer or can just literally be a TPM, and a business. Don't forget that no business exists in isolation. So there's a need for you to probably maybe a CTO of the organization onboarded on Xamon Pay today. There's a need for the finance team to have access to this dashboard as well, so they can top up wallet, they can manage payouts, finance team, reconciliation team, payment operations team. So it's very important to also ensure that as a TPM you have a team management feature while you're building your developer portal. Let me give you a walkthrough of what I've also been able to build from my hand using Xamon Pay. On Xamon Pay, we have different role and assets. You have, depending on your team, actually. Right, you can, the role can be customized. You can have it customized. You can have it predefined. But in our own case, we have admin, we have developer finance, the viewer team, and you're also able to remove, delete, and you're also able to like add new people. When you want to add new people, this is what it looks like. You're able to input the email address, and you're also able to see the team access as well. Lastly, we'll be looking at reporting. Without reporting, you'll be getting a lot of requests around, oh, because team also needs to do reconciliation. They also need to be able to look at the data, have access to some of this data so they can also make sense of it or provide business justification for it in some of these things. So it's important for you to even build a reporting mechanism and the ability for them to also be able to extract this report from their end so they can impute it into their own system to make sense of this data. So let me show you an example of how I was able to build my reporting team on Xamon Pay as well. There are two ways you can look at this reporting. There's a reporting from the financial perspective, and there's also the reporting from the consumption perspective. Under the API logs, this is where we basically give you an insight into how your API is doing, the latency around our API, the success rate. So you can literally extract this. And if you also remember, we had also shown you report. This information is also provided on a high level on the dashboard where you're able to see success rate, average latency time. But as a developer, you can also decide to basically want to have access to this information and you're able to export it. And on the transaction table as well, you can also get reporting from the financial perspective where you can also download this financial transaction data and you're able to make sense of this data on your own end. In this section, we'll be discussing why developer experiences, why does it even matter? Like all of these things we've spent time explaining, me building out this website for you so you can even make sense of them. Why is this even important, or why am I even doing this? No matter how improved or enhanced your APIs, in the development world of today, there are certain things that are key, which is number one, developer experience. And when we mean developer experience, what does this mean? How fast are we able to integrate with you? What is the low churn rate on your platform? Do you even have a community that can support integrations? Because people who have questions today, is there a community that has in-depth knowledge that can even guide people on using your solution? How profitable is he even doing business with you? Are you taking your percentage? Is your monetization rate in the market highly competitive? All of these things determine the experience a developer will have using your platform. So on a final thought, the best API don't necessarily win because they're technically superior. They win because it's easy to use. If your API is powerful and it's hard to use, developer will leave. But if your API is simple, transparent, and empowering, developer will build on top of it. And before you know it, you've been able to build a community. You've been able to build an ecosystem. You've been able to build a platform that is reliable. Thank you for joining us today. Trust you had an amazing moment. Please let us know if you have any question in the comment section. Please do share, repost, and let us know what you think or if there any gray area you will need further explanation on. Do have a great day. See you in our next session. Bye.